Vader wasn't stopped by a wrestler. He was stopped by a system. And if that sounds dramatic, good. Because that's the whole story. Vader wasn't a gimmick you could work around. He wasn't a costume. He was a real athlete, turned into something that felt too real, too fast, too heavy, too much. So this is Vader's story, told through collisions, 4 collisions that build the myth. And at the end, one WWF What If that would have felt illegal in 1997. Vader versus Ken Shamrock. Alright, start at the beginning. Leon White was a legit athlete. And when a big man moves like that, the whole match changes. Because it stops feeling like performance and starts feeling like momentum. That's the thing people forget about Vader. The mask didn't make him scary. It gave a face to something that already was. Most wrestling monsters are presentation first. Vader was impact first. He hits the ring and you don't think, cool character. You think, that's a problem. That's Collision 1, Birth of the Monster. A real athlete turned into a warning label. Now Japan happens. And Japan doesn't treat monsters like cartoons. Japan treats monsters like weather. Something you prepare for, and still can't stop. In the US, Vader is a heel. In Japan, Vader becomes an incident. He doesn't debut. He arrives. You can feel it in the crowd too. Because the crowd doesn't just boo. The crowd braces. And that's why the riot matters. Not because riots are cool, because a riot is what happens when the audience stops playing along. It's proof the danger feels real. Then comes the ultimate measuring stick, Inoki. And this is important, because the question isn't, can Vader wrestle? The question is, can the business contain him? Can tradition slow him down? Can pacing slow him down? Can aura slow him down? And the answer is, barely. You can feel the match trying to calm the storm. And then Vader does one burst, one acceleration, and suddenly the entire pace gets dragged into his world. That's Collision 2. Japan makes him a god, not a gimmick, a force. Now here's the rule Japan teaches better than anybody. If you want to stop a disaster, you send another disaster. That's where Stan Hansen enters the story. Because Hansen isn't finesse. Hansen is collision culture. His whole style says, if we're gonna collide, let's collide for real. And when those two worlds touch, that's the moment the myth becomes a warning label. Because when disasters collide, somebody pays. That's Collision 3. Not rumor, not replay, consequence. After that, Vader doesn't feel smaller. He feels heavier, more proven, more real. And once you've been proven like that, America changes. Because America doesn't just want monsters. America wants main events. So now it's WCW. And WCW, at least for a minute, gets it. They don't treat Vader like a novelty. They treat him like gravity. That's why the Sting collision works. Sting is the kind of hero you believe in. So when Vader shuts him down, it feels like the building tilts. Then there's Flair. And Flair is a different kind of test. Craft, survival, IQ. Flair can outsmart anybody, but Vader isn't anybody. Vader is a moving object, and moving objects do not care about your plan. That's Collision 4. America crowns him. Final boss energy, before that was a phrase. So at this point, the path looks obvious. Japan forges the weapon. WCW crowns the weapon. Now you take the weapon to WWF, and you print money, right? And that's where the tragedy lives. Because WWF wasn't the same ecosystem. WWF was built for control. Control of pacing, control of tone, control of who the star is, and who the star is allowed to be. And Vader is not a controllable thing. So the moment he arrives, the question changes. It stops being, how do we build him? And becomes, how do we contain him? That's the real WWF collision. Because now Vader isn't just fighting opponents, he's fighting the room, the culture, the invisible rules. And you can feel it. The monster starts getting treated like a problem to manage, instead of a force to unleash. And when the business starts managing you, you're already losing. That's why one of the most repeated stories from that run is a backstage insult so nasty we're not even saying it. Not for drama, for diagnosis, Because disrespect like that doesn't show up when a company is building you. It shows up when a company is shrinking you. So Vader doesn't just lose a match, he loses the room. And when Vader loses the room, the run breaks. But the myth doesn't. Because Vader doesn't disappear. He becomes the template. Every time you see a heavyweight move like a missile, every time you see a big man treated like an event, you're seeing Vader's shadow. So that's history. Birth, Japan, warning label, WCW crown, WWF flinch. But Pixel Pinfalls always asks one more question. What if? What if WWF didn't contain Vader in 1997? What if they unleashed him like the final boss? If you're going to do that, you need an opponent who feels real in a different way. Ken Shamrock. Because Shamrock doesn't wrestle like a character. He wrestles like a warning. Shoot intensity. Zero fear. The kind of guy who looks at the monster and goes, yeah, I'll take him down. So picture the match. Vader takes one step forward, and the ring suddenly feels smaller. Shamrock circles, shoots, grabs a leg, tries to turn the monster into anatomy, an ankle, a knee, a shoulder, anything that can slow the engine. And Vader's answer is simple. Delete the space. Corner crush. Splash. One collision that reminds you, this isn't a puzzle. It's physics. Shamrock keeps coming anyway because he's built for pain. He keeps hunting limbs like it's a fight, and Vader keeps landing like a car wreck. That's the question. Can a submission stop a runaway truck? Or does the truck drag the whole sport with it? That's Vader versus Ken Shamrock. Shoot intensity versus monster physics. Next time on Pixel Pinfalls and Powerbombs, the gaijin in Japan, where the sun rises and somebody always falls. Stan Hansen.